Good morning. On today's news broadcast, election updates, a parade, and a sesame seed allergy, plus local sports, weather, and more. APSU-TV News starts right now. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Brandon CROSSLIN.
And I'm Angela Peterson.
This year's U.S. midterm elections provided the country and the world a slew of firsts, including the election of 2 Muslim American women to Congress. One of them is Rashida Tlaib, who's blazing a trail that stretches from the U.S. all the way to the West Bank home of her family. CNN's Oren Lieberman has her story.
The victory party was all but assured. In Michigan's 13th district, Rashida Tlaib knew she would likely be the first Muslim woman and the first Palestinian in Congress when she won the primary back in August. No Republican ran against her in the general election.
As I uplift the families of the 13th congressional district, I'll uplift them every single day, being who I am as a proud Palestinian American and woman.
Yes! Even so, her victory is historic in Washington, D.C., and in the West Bank. In the village of Beit Or al-Fuka, every visitor to the Tlaib family home is greeted with coffee and sweets, a traditional celebratory snack. Her cousin shows us around the family home. Tlaib was born in Detroit, but she has visited often over the years. Her family says she also came back here for her wedding.
We as her family are very proud of her, as Palestinians, Arabs and Muslims.
Tlaib is proud of her Palestinian roots. In interviews, she's drawn parallels between the civil rights struggle in the U.S. in the 1950s and 60s and the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. She was accused of flip-flopping on a key issue, from voicing support for a 2-state solution, an independent Palestine sitting next to Israel, to support for a single integrated state made up of Arabs and Jews. That cost her the backing of liberal Jewish advocacy group J Street and put her at odds with political authorities here in the West Bank. In her ancestral village, family members just hope she can help shine a light on the Palestinian cause.
We as Palestinians need someone like her to pass our message to the American administration and people that don't know much about our lost rights.
Tlaib ran to the left of the Democratic establishment, scoring endorsement from the progressive Justice for Democrats. Her victory is part of a new wave of politics and a new wave of diverse women heading to Washington, D.C. Oren Lieberman, CNN, Jerusalem.
Meanwhile, in Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn becomes the first woman in the state to be elected to the Senate. She beat former Governor Phil Bredesen on Tuesday, and speaking of governor, Republican businessman Bill Lee easily defeated former Nashville Mayor Carl Dean for the state's top position. Lee says he hopes to pick up where Governor Haslam left off. Now closer to home, former state Senator Mark Green easily defeated
forward education in this state. But yet we still fall in the bottom half of states, so we need to continue that work. He's done great work in moving kids into post-secondary attainment through Tennessee Promise and Reconnect, but we need to strengthen that by providing a stronger emphasis on vocational and technical education.
Now closer to home, former state Senator Mark Green easily defeated Democrat Justin Kanu to fill Congressman Marsha Blackburn's seat in the House. 2 familiar faces from Montgomery County returned to the state legislature, with Curtis Johnson and Jay Reedy winning re-election. They will be joined by political newcomer Democrat Jason Hodges. Appearing on our post-election review show, Hodges says one focus he is in expanding Medicaid for the state, even though Governor-elect Bill Lee has opposed the move.
So absolutely, I think so. You know, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Governor Haslam was for school vouchers when he was a candidate, and we don't have school vouchers here 8 years later. He's still not in support of them anymore. So I think candidates do learn once they get in office, and hopefully he will as well.
And in the city elections, Clarksville has a new mayor. Joe Pitts narrowly defeated incumbent Kim McKillen by just over 200 votes. Also appearing on our election review show earlier this week, Pitts says transportation issues are one of his main priorities.
I heard over and over again about sidewalks and bike lanes and transit, Clarksville Transit, and seeing why we can't have bus service on Sundays because we are a 7-day-a-week economy in this community, and so we need to make sure people have good access to transportation.
Pitts says Clarksville's continued growth presents a lot of opportunities for the city. He says he wants to make sure each part of Clarksville is sharing equally in that growth.
A night of fun in a Southern California town turning to tragedy in a moment. A gunman opens fire, killing 12 people before turning the gun on himself. CNN's Mary Maloney has the latest from Thousand Oaks, California.
Oh, God, this is so hard. Oh, son, I love you so much.
I can't imagine the stress. Can't imagine what the families are going through.
An all too familiar dispatch as police get word of another mass shooting, this time in Thousand Oaks, California.
We're down through. We got multiple people down. We need a lot of ambulances.
Sheriff's investigators have identified the gunman. They say he was a former Marine and known to law enforcement.
We do not have any indicators of other associates or there are no other threats to the Los Angeles area.
The horror began around 11:20 p.m. when the gunman entered the Borderline Bar and Grill. The country bar was hosting a college night and it was packed with students.
He shot the cashier, just a young girl. He just started shooting, and I should have stayed till he changed his clip. But I was worried about my boy.
Hours after the shooting, loved ones were desperate for answers. Some receiving the news no parent wants to hear. At least a dozen people were killed, including Sheriff's Deputy Ron Hewless, who was one of the first to respond.
Gave his all, as I told his wife. He died a hero.
In honor of his sacrifice, a procession traveled with Hewless's body as he was taken from the hospital to the examiner's office. I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
The sudden firing of Attorney General Jeff Sessions has brought in speculation about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe. CNN's Pamela Brown has more.
A day after Jeff Sessions was ousted as Attorney General, questions surround the future of the Russia investigation. CNN has learned that his replacement, Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, has no intention of recusing himself from the Russia probe, according to a source familiar with his thinking, despite being openly critical of the investigation as a CNN commentator.
I could see a scenario where Jeff Sessions is replaced with a recess appointment, and that Attorney General doesn't fire Bob Mueller, but he just reduces his budget so low that his investigation grinds to almost a halt.
And during a radio interview last August before his appointment to the Department of Justice.
I think it smells a little fishy, but I just hope it doesn't turn into a fishing expedition, because I will be one of the ones jumping up and down.
Good for you, yeah.
Making sure that limitations on this investigation continue, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
The Washington Post reports Whitaker likely would reject a Mueller subpoena request to interview the president. Today, President Trump spent the morning with Whitaker, where he gave off-camera remarks at a ceremony for new Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, later returning to the White House. Meanwhile, Trump himself openly threatening the fate of the probe, claiming he could get rid of everyone involved in the Mueller investigation.
I could fire everybody right now, but I don't want to stop it, because politically I don't like stopping it. Yeah. It's a disgrace. It should have never been started because there was no crime.
But critics say it's not just Whitaker's comments on Mueller. They point to his qualifications, too.
It's a unique design that's
Whitaker's resume includes a stint on the advisory board of World Patent Marketing, a company that had to pay a $26 million settlement earlier this year for scamming its customers. The president is now looking for a permanent replacement for Attorney General. A possible candidate, Senator Lindsey Graham, who accompanied Trump today. Graham was once critical of Trump's desire to fire Sessions.
If Jeff Sessions is fired, there will be holy hell to pay.
But he since changed his tune. Also on the list, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who was spotted at the White House today for a prison reform roundtable, and Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. If nominated, Christie, who was a prominent campaign surrogate for Trump, could face similar calls to recuse himself from the Mueller investigations as Sessions did. But unlike Sessions, there is no indication he had contact with Russian officials during the 2016 campaign or transition.
The Austin Peay Veterans Day Parade will be held tomorrow, November 10th at 10 a.m. This ceremony will feature Austin Peay's very own band and some keynote speakers, including a Vietnam War veteran. The pre-parade ceremony started at 9 a.m. on 3rd Street in downtown Clarksville. This year's theme will be Veterans Serving After Service. The parade itself will start between College and 8th Street. For more information, go to visitclarksvilletn.com or call 931-553-5173. Please come out to honor our veterans tomorrow.
2 Missouri daycare workers have been fired from their jobs and face charges connected to a daycare fight club. CNN's Chris Hayes has more on what the women told police in their defense.
December 7th, 2016, 11:30 at night, St. Louis police brought in Tanae Daly in handcuffs. She's the woman you could see jumping up and down during the fights. She was subdued in her police interview.
He was crying, and we were trying to comfort him, and we was trying to cheer him on.
She said she never thought it was wrong until it was all over.
It was all fun and games, you know, and I'm sorry, like, for them, you know, to think that I would hurt a kid. I wouldn't hurt a kid. My kid was in there too. You good?
A week later, December 15th, 1:30 in the afternoon, police interviewed Michaela Gilliford. She's the one you could see saying something to a crying child and then getting preschoolers ready for another fight.
I probably should get a lawyer.
Gilliford called relatives to say she was not going to talk to police, then said simply this.
Because there was nothing dangerous with the kids. Like, it was all a safe stress relief. Like, you know, I just feel like it would have been avoided if she would have just closed this and talked.
She's referring to the fact that daycare's heater was broken and teachers had to use this alternate room without their usual supplies and activities. Some of the kids appear to recognize the fight club was wrong, like this child who tries breaking up a fight, and a 10-year-old in the next room who texted his mom this: "The daycare is making my brother's class fight and he's crying."
I am so very thankful that my 10-year-old realized that it was wrong.
Nicole Merciel has been fighting for criminal charges since that day in December 2016. Today, she got action.
It makes me happy. That's exactly what we were hoping. That's the reason why we brought this to the media. We were wanting them to take a second look at this because I don't feel like there was any punishment.
For more on your APSU-TV weather, let's head over now to AALIYAH Harris.
Thank you, Brandon. So this election week started very rough for several states, ranging from Louisiana to Ohio. The daily line of storms produced lots of rain and tornadoes late Monday night into Tuesday morning. The National Weather Station has confirmed that it was a total of 8 tornadoes in Tennessee, 3 in Alabama, and 2 in Mississippi. The tornadoes that struck Rutherford, Grundy, and Franklin County were classified as an EF2. 1 person was killed in Rutherford County, and several others were injured. Many families are left without homes and are trying to pick up the pieces in hopes of rebuilding their lives. Currently, the National Weather Service is still surveying several areas to determine if more tornadoes have touched down in other cities. Now on to the weather. So our current national temperatures, we have Seattle at 39 and Los Angeles at 52. We have Denver at 28, Dallas at 46, Chicago at 35, Atlanta at 57, and New York at 46. So today is going to be very cold, as you see here. In Memphis, we have 37, and Clarksville, we have 49, 51 in Nashville, 57 in Chattanooga, and 53 in Knoxville. Tonight is going to be pretty cold, so be sure to leave some kind of water on because we do have a freeze warning active until tomorrow morning. So Memphis, so Memphis 29, Clarksville is 25, Nashville 28, Chattanooga 33, and Knoxville 26. So the current temperature now is 42 degrees with partly cloudy going on. A little sun may come out. It is currently a little bit rainy, but not too much of rain. So tonight's gonna be 33 degrees, and it's definitely gonna be raining tonight, so be sure to go out with an umbrella and a coat. And for our 5-day forecast, we have showers in the morning, of course, today for 49, with a high of 49, a low of 25. Saturday is going to be mostly sunny with a high of 41, a low of 24. So again, we might have that freeze warning, so be sure to open up the cabinets and run a little bit of water to prevent your pipes from freezing over. Sunday is going to be partly cloudy with a high of 58 and a low of 36. Monday is going to be lots of rain, so be sure to have your umbrella and raincoat and rain boots. High of 47 and a low of 30. Tuesday, we have partly cloudy with a high of 36 and a low of 21. And still ahead, Bryce BEMENT tells us what's happening in the world of sports. APSU-TV News will be right back.
How will you lead to a better future? Will you lead through life-changing innovations, or will your leadership shine through the quality of your work? Success is defined by the individual. So it's time to think about the person you want to be and where you will learn to lead through excellence. It's time to become a governor at Austin Peay.
Welcome back. Have you ever needed something to do but don't know where to go? Well, the Foy offers many pastimes that aren't just for health and fitness. APSU's Madeline Migalasio shows us just one of the many activities.
Master Wong from Major Motion Picture Balls of Fury said, "Welcome to the underbelly of ping pong, where fortunes are won and lost." I'm exaggerating, of course, but you get my point. Austin Peay's Fitness and Recreational Center, the Foy, has a vast majority of amateur sports and recreational activities offered. One of the biggest and best is ping pong. Andrew Buckle, a far from novice ping pong player at Austin Peay, says ping pong at the Foy is one of the best and innovative activities here on campus.
Every day I try to play ping pong, whether it's like in between a break in classes or like if I'm done with school and I have some time to kill before work, I'll try to get a couple hours in the day. I have a group chat actually set up to where I say, hey, I'm coming to play ping pong, anyone want to join?
Jure Rodocker, a junior at Austin Peay, uses ping pong at the Foy as a way to decompress from everyday stressors that come with being a college student.
The first time I picked up a ping pong paddle, I really felt inspirational, and I really think I can take this somewhere. Yeah, you just got out of class, you're like, you don't even care if you pass or fail that test. You just want to come to the Foy and, get the grind, get started.
Foy employee and active Foy attendee Isaiah Tharp welcomes all and any new Foy members to come and try out the amenities.
Checking out equipment is for students. All they have to do is present their APSU ID.
Come out to the Foy, you will find table tennis upstairs for a friendly and competitive environment. Whether you are playing singles, doubles, or just spectating, the Foy has many amateur sports and recreational activities for all of APSU to enjoy.
For more information on what's happening in sports, let's now head over to Bryce BEMENT for a look at your Gov Sports update.
It was a solid week for Govs sports. Austin Peay football played Eastern Kentucky last weekend at Forterra Stadium, losing 17-13 in the last minutes. The Govs were leading 13-3 headed into halftime, then lost after an interception was thrown by Govs quarterback Jeremiah Oatsville in the last 5 minutes. Logan Birchfield made a 45-yard field goal attempt, putting the Govs up 10-3 in the second quarter. Birchfield also made a 43-yard field goal attempt, putting the Govs up 13-3 before halftime. Birchfield was named OVC Specialist of the Week. APSU football will travel to Eastern Illinois to play Saturday at 1 p.m. Now, Austin Peay volleyball fell short to rival Murray State 1-3 at Murray on Tuesday, but were able to rally back and get the 3-2 win against Eastern Kentucky on Saturday. Middle blocker Logan Carter posted a 14-kill performance in the game against Murray, but it was not enough to get the win. The Govs were held to a season low of .068 attack percentage and saw the offense held to a negative attack rate in the 3 of the 4 sets. Carter stayed hot in their game against EKU and led the Govs with 11 kills and 6 blocks. Junior libero Jenny Garrick was named OVC Defensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. The Govs sit at 23-4 and 12-2 in the OVC. The Govs are currently sitting in the first place in the OVC standings and will play SIUE today at 6 p.m. in Edwardsville, Illinois, and then turn around and play at Eastern Illinois tomorrow at 6 p.m. Now, men's basketball began their season with a huge 114-53 win over Oakland City at the home opener in the Dunn Center Tuesday night. After a close first half, the Govs took fire in the second half and could not stop scoring. Sophomore Terry Taylor led the Govs with 21 points. The Govs have 5 players who made their first debut as Governors. The Govs will be on the road for the next 7 games, playing tonight at Mississippi State at 6:30 p.m. Now, APSU women's basketball team won their home opener exhibition game against Georgetown College, 108-74. The Govs kept it close, only being up by 10 going into halftime, but took off in the second half, going on a scoring and rebounding rampage. The Govs out-rebounded the Tigers by 27, having more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds, while also having 6 Govs in double figures. The Govs then traveled to Cincinnati on Tuesday and lost in a heartbreaking fight, 69-48. Kellen Cannell led for the Govs with 9 total points, but it was not enough to get the win. The Govs will play tonight at home in the Dunn Center at 7 p.m. against Christian Brothers. That's all we have for sports. APSU-TV News will be right back.
The honors program at Austin Peay started. There was a group of professors who thought, what are we doing for our strongest students? And since then, the program has changed and grown with the university. And now we have over 300 students who are in the program. It's open to students of all majors.
I wanted something that would set me apart from other pre-med students. So I thought the honor program would help me with that. It's pretty easy to make friends here because everyone here is focused on school because they're in the honors program, so they want to get something out of school. And it's just a nice place to come to study.
In the classrooms, they will be asked to stand on their tiptoes, is what we say. But the classes are more interesting. They move along a little faster. It's a place where those students can congregate to study, so I think students are better prepared for careers and for life in general through the academic curriculum.
Donuts and coffee are a popular treat to have on your morning run. Most people, however, like to keep their politics and breakfast separated. One donut shop now knows the repercussions of welcoming a political figure into your restaurant. CNN's Shay Arthur has that story.
Don DeWeese, owner of longtime Memphis favorite and nationally recognized Gibson's Donuts.
We are a serve-all business. There's no politics inside the walls at Gibson Donuts.
But that's the opposite of what some saw Election Day, when now Senator-elect Marsha Blackburn had a campaign breakfast at the location.
Let's get to the polls, get people to the polls to vote. Let's have a great day. Thank you. Go Marsha!
Her breakfast, initially slated for another spot, her staff alerting local media, including WREG, the day before Election Day, the location had been changed to Gibson's. Once pictures and video of Blackburn at Gibson's hit Twitter and Facebook, so did the comments. Scores of people saying they plan to take their business elsewhere. Some of those comments getting hundreds of likes. Some people citing their disgust on Blackburn's stance on a variety of issues, including immigration.
We don't talk politics in here. I will talk about serving our donut customers.
DeWeese sticks to that message and says in the past he's had candidates from both parties stop by and he's welcomed them. He maintains when Blackburn's team called the day before the breakfast, he told them they would not have a reserved table and they would be served on a first-come, first-served basis. Telling a reporter who was at the event that morning he would have done the same thing for Bredeson's team if they would have showed up.
Marsha Blackburn organization says they needed a place to sit down and have donuts and coffee to start their day. And they said they would only be here about 15, 20 minutes. They have 12 to 20 people. They had probably 30, but they said 12 to 20 people. They said they were bringing a cameraman. I assumed that it was a camera, and I didn't know that 4 stations was going to show up.
While we were in Gibson's today, people were waiting in line for a sweet treat. These friends came from Germantown and supported the business after the backlash.
There's no real need for that, but that's why we have a free country.
If you knew what the reaction would be right now, would you let her come back again?
That's a heck of a question, darling. I think, knowing what I know now, I would have to say, we will serve you breakfast, but please don't send out a press release that you're having a campaign stop at Gibson Donuts, because we did not know that. We're very sad that so many people reacted to us serving a human being donuts, and that we would serve their candidate if they came in.
A priest in Washington, D.C. was arrested and charged with sexual abuse of a child. The alleged incident occurred in May of 2015. CNN's John Gonzalez has the story.
Charge is second-degree child sexual abuse. The man behind bars is a well-known priest here in the Columbia Heights neighborhood.
I'm really sad, and I love my church and I love my community.
And the place where police say this crime occurred back in May of 2015 is right inside the shrine of the Sacred Heart Church.
You think you know people, and to hear this allegation is just strange.
The victim, who was then just 13, claims that 46-year-old Father Urbano Vasquez reached down her blouse and grabbed her bare breast on more than one occasion.
The father is a good member of the community because there is a lot of nonprofits here in the area, not just supporting the community as well as the homeless, but the kids' alternative schools over here.
The head pastor fired as well for not following appropriate protocol, and the parish's child protection coordinator has also been placed on administrative leave. Officials fear there could be more victims. In Spanish, this parishioner tells me all I can say is that he's a great priest and he's the one who has helped us spiritually. During this morning's weekday mass, Father Kevin Thompson here at the church did talk about this incident during his homily, saying, "Tough chapter for our parish. Continue to keep Jesus as your focus. Continue to pray for the victim and all victims of abuse, and pray for healing for this church that is in a state of shock," as he put it. Father Vasquez had been with the church here since 2014. In Northwest Washington, John Gonzalez, ABC 7 News.
If you're interested in high-tech activities, Austin Peay's Geographic Information Systems Center has everything you need. I was lucky enough to ask around the GIS Center about what exactly they do. When expensive equipment like a drone is on the line, members of the Austin Peay Drone Racing Club need a way to train in a non-risk environment. The way the computer science students have chosen to accomplish this at Austin Peay's GIS building is with virtual reality. GIS project manager Doug Catalaire knew exactly what types of students to look for to accomplish such a task.
I reached computer science students to program the virtual reality, reach out to art and design students to come in and work on the scenery.
One of the students helping out on the simulator is Connor Belinsky, and he finds much more than just passing the time here at the GIS Center.
It's a relaxed environment because at this point we're kind of learning at our own pace since we are basically starting the program from scratch.
The VR drone simulation is still in its early stages and is still being programmed. The computer science and art students both benefit from this outside of class project, being able to practice their respective skills in a fun way that also replicates the types of tasks they may encounter in a real career. For more information on how you can participate in the project, go to apsugis.org. For APSU-TV News, I'm Brandon CROSSLIN.
Have you ever wondered about the statue outside of Austin Peay? Like, what does it mean and who created it? APSU honored this famous statue and its creator, Dr. James Deere, last week. The Gateway statue symbolizes the storehouse of knowledge, liberal arts, and science education. It also exemplifies how students rise with education. The figure in the middle of the statue is a representation of learning, liberty, and the path a student takes throughout school. Dr. Deere retired from his position at APSU as Professor Emeritus in 2012.
Right now, only 8 ingredients are required by law to be listed as an allergen on packaged food labels. Now the FDA is taking a major step towards adding one more to that list: sesame. In today's Health Minute, CNN's Meredith Wood has a closer look at why a tiny seed is causing big concerns.
A small seed with potentially big health risks. The Food and Drug Administration is taking steps to require food labels to carry a warning if a product contains sesame. Currently, only 8 allergens are listed on labels: milk, fish, eggs, shellfish, peanuts, tree nuts, soybeans, and wheat. Sesame is sometimes listed as natural flavors or spices. The FDA wants to change that, saying that although sesame allergies are rare, they can be deadly. According to the agency, sesame allergies affect about 300,000 Americans. While that's a tiny percentage of the U.S. population, the FDA says it's on par with allergies to soy and fish. Sesame reactions can vary from person to person, but in some cases, they can be life-threatening. The possibility of such a severe reaction is what's prompting federal health officials to take action. The FDA says requiring a warning on labels may prevent serious allergic reactions and even deaths. The agency is still gathering information from nutritionists, allergy experts, and other health officials to get a complete understanding of the risks and impacts of changing laws. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
Glad you could join us. That's all the time we have for today. Be sure to join us in the interaction by liking us on Facebook at APSU-TV Clarksville and Instagram at APSU_TV.
Thanks for watching another edition of your Govs News Weekend Update.
And as always,
let's go Peay!